President Obama says it is time to turn the page on more than a decade of war. He laid out his plan today for bringing America's longest war to a conclusion. The U.S. combat mission in Afghanistan will end at the end of this year. And the last U.S. troops will come home 2 years later before he leaves office. President George W. Bush ordered the invasion of Afghanistan after the 9/11 attacks to oust the Taliban, who'd given al-Qaeda a base of operations. More than 2,100 Americans were killed in the war, more than 19,000 wounded. Major Garrett has more now on the road ahead in Afghanistan. Major?
This, Nora, is the end game. No more U.S. military combat operations after this year, and then a 2-year mission of training Afghan forces and assisting in counter-terrorism operations. All this carried out by a force 1/3 its current size.
We will no longer patrol Afghan cities or towns, mountains or valleys. That is a task for the Afghan people.
By the end of this year, the current U.S. force of 32,800 will fall to 9,800. It will be cut in half by the end of 2015 and reduced to just enough troops to staff the U.S. Embassy in Kabul by the end of 2016. The war began nearly 13 years ago and has cost taxpayers more than $600 billion. The result? Al-Qaeda is virtually gone, but Taliban fighters remain a threat.
We have to recognize Afghanistan will not be a perfect place. And it is not America's responsibility to make it one. The future of Afghanistan must be decided by Afghans.
Nora, these troop reductions hinge on the next Afghan president signing a security agreement with the United States government. Both of the presidential candidates in the current runoff have said they will do so. But if that security agreement is not signed, all U.S. forces will be withdrawn by the end of this year.
Major, the president also mentioned that the last decade of U.S. foreign policy has been dominated by the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I know he's giving a big speech tomorrow at West Point. What will he say?
He will describe how U.S. foreign policy can remain engaged, but in the words of White House officials, not overcommitted. The president, White House advisors say, wants to counter recent criticism that he's been weak and indecisive. Part of this speech will include an announcement that the United States military will increase its efforts to train Syrian rebels trying to topple the Assad regime, and will also include new efforts to monitor the movements of and identify al-Qaeda-inspired fighters in that Syrian conflict.
Major Garrett, thank you.